Hello, everyone. The topic today is, with great challenges comes great opportunity. Our fight between good and evil, our fight between the dark side, the satanic world, the communist world, the Cain world, is not turning out like we thought it would. It's taking a very long time. And we didn't expect that. And so it's making us feel a little bit frustrated. However, we've had some amazing experiences. We've had experiences with true parents. We connected with each other. We met people from around the world that we would have never met. We helped further God's providence. We started countless organizations with Father, Mother, Moon. Things that we didn't know we could do, but we did. We received the blessing. We gave the blessing to countless people. And we also helped establish Chungalguk. But even besides all this effort that we've done, we're still not as successful as we wished. And this is bringing some struggle inside of us. We don't feel like we won. We're facing some complex challenges today. Our image in the social media is not as we would like it to be, but we're working really hard and we've done some amazing accomplishments with the Universal Peace Federation. Our assets and our movement are not growing, but they're struggling. And in America alone, in the last 40 years, our young people are not as active. In fact, I heard a statistic that it was almost 50% of them are not as engaged. Our leaders are struggling because the second generation aren't coming up, so they're really working really hard, extra hard, and it's causing a lot of frustration. And our movement, there's hope coming, but we're not there yet. And we thought that the war against evil will be over by now. But it's not. So it's causing us, like I said, some frustrations. And we've made some choices that is hurting us in the long run. But I see an opportunity. Some people may say that this looks like we have an existential or a sustainability crisis, but I see this as a huge opportunity. You see, I care a lot about God and God's providence. I grew up in a center with the heat of the action of God's providence inside that center. I grew up with Kathy Rigney and all the leaders of Africa in one place. So I got to hear everything. And my life became my mission. If you ask my wife, I'm a workaholic. I'm always working towards making things better, trying to collaborate together with other people to bring mutual prosperity. And I've made a lot of sacrifices in my life of faith, and I know you have even more. I lost my dad in the mission field in Africa after 40 years of working. I lost my oldest son after battling with a disease of 12 years. I really care about our movement, and I don't want to see anything stop it. I want to give my best and empower our movement to grow. And that's why I was motivated to give a speech today. I worked in Africa for many years. I helped run a church business to support the movement. I started a blessing family value marketing initiative. In Africa, they were struggling with raising funds and witnessing. And I created a DVD documenting the divine principle being communicated to members. And I helped them create an opportunity there to grow with their witnessing campaign and with their fundraising campaign. Members were able to profit by selling it every day, and the church was able to grow financially from also partaking in that activity. And I saw a lot of things. I saw a lot of hope. Our blessed family is resilient. They're working really hard, no matter what, through extreme circumstances, despite their family struggling because of it. But at the same time, I saw that maybe we were losing hope a little bit. And that started to bother me. And so, my message today is that God planted a seed inside every one of you. A seed that He plans to use to further not only His kingdom on earth, but to make you happy. As we read earlier today, this give and take between the whole purpose, the greater good, and your individual interest is a combination that works together. If you give too much on one side, you sacrifice too much on the other, and there's not a mutual balance. And God wants you to know that He didn't give up on you. He planted a seed inside of you, a hope, a dream, a passion, that I believe is the key to transforming our movement for the better. We need to make a change soon, because in the future, we could possibly lose the hard work we have done. Yes, we're facing challenges, but it is in moments of great challenges that comes great opportunity. You know, it was in Cain's darkest moment that God gave him an important lesson. Cain was working hard his whole life to inherit his family line. In his tradition, it's the eldest son that inherits all of the family lineage, and his younger brother doesn't, Abel. But after working every day with his father, trying to inherit what his father and his mother have been working so hard to give to him, all of that was swept away when all of a sudden his younger brother became the inheritor because his sacrifice was accepted. And so he was very heart-stricken. He was very saddened. And God appeared to him and said to him, "Hey, you still have the power. Even in the darkest moments of your life, you still have the power over sin, over your emotions, over your limited beliefs. You still have the power to make the right choice. Don't give in to that." So, my message, I want to convince you today to not give up on that seed that God planted inside of you, that dream, that passion, that hope, and develop it, because it is through that you can contribute to the greater good. It is not abandoning your hopes and your dreams and your passions to then sacrifice and do something that you weren't even given that responsibility in your heart by God. Use that passion that God gave you to contribute to the greater good. If we're able to do that, then our movement, our families will thrive in the future. And I want to share some examples of what I've learned today in my life and working in Africa with the youth, with this project that I created, Project Rise, with my brother, to give you some examples of how we can make that happen. Does that sound fair to you? In 1968, the North Vietnamese attacked Americans. This was the Tet Offensive. Tet is a lunar New Year's that's celebrated every year for generations. in North Vietnam. And in that day, no one's allowed to fight. It's peace. But the North Vietnamese army thought that they could surprise attack the Americans, overwhelm them all at once, and win the war quickly. And they did. They attacked at 125 locations at once with 85,000 troops. But surprisingly, the American people, the American soldiers, were able to stop all the attack, every single one of them. In fact, the Vietnamese people lost more of their soldiers than the Americans did. But all together, after all those battles, America still ended up losing. So how is it possible that they can lose after winning all these battles? That brings us to the point of understanding what is winning and what is losing. James Carsey is a theologian in New York University, and he wrote a book called Finite and Infinite Games. Basically, when you have two competitors, you have a game. And there's two kinds of games. There are infinite games and there are finite games. A finite game is when you have known players, you have agreed upon rules, fixed rules, and agreed upon objective. Like football. Football, we all know the game or the players who have the most points by a specific time wins. An infinite game is unknown players or known players. The rules change at any time, and the objective is you have to keep playing. You never stop. It goes on and on and on and on. You should not stop. Like the Cold War. The Cold War, it was stable because nobody was winning or losing. It had to keep staying the way it was. The problem happens when you have an infinite player with a finite player fighting against each other. There's frustration because one's expecting to win and the other one is expecting to just keep playing and never win. And there's frustration, and ultimately the person decides to stop playing because they lose the will and the resources to keep playing. And that's what happened to America. Over time, it lost the will and it lost the resources to keep playing, and it dropped out of the game. Similarly, in November of 1989, our movement watched this wall of the Berlin Wall fall down between East and West, and we declared victory over communism, and we looked like we were winning the war. But all of a sudden, we have another war with communism, basically. It's still living on in the hearts of men and women. And it looks like we never won between the Ukraine and Russia war. So just like in America in the Vietnam War, many of us feel frustrated. Many of us feel like we're losing the will and the resources to keep going. Why should I keep fighting this thing when it just seems to keep going and we're not winning? The fight against good and evil is an infinite game. It's been going on for a long time, and it's going to keep going on for a long time. It's not going to happen when we are thinking of we're going to win. We have to change our approach. Players play to play and to keep on playing. It's an infinite game that we're playing, where our opponents, the players we're playing against, want to live. They're not trying to win. They want to live. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. Like these examples up here. So, in this infinite game that we're fighting in, we have to learn how to play in such a way that our competitors will lose the motivation, the resources, and the will to keep playing because we overpowered them with love. We overpowered them with our ability to be relevant and to solve problems. We cannot win against communism. We cannot win against Cain. We cannot win against Satan because God's not trying to beat them and win against them. God is trying to love them and embrace them. Cain is an infinite player. He refuses to lose because we're fighting against him. But if we love, if we have a different approach, then we might end up outlasting our competitors. If we continue to sacrifice to win the war like we are doing, there will be no children left behind to keep fighting when we leave. And because of that, because we're thinking of fighting to win versus fighting to outlast our competitors, the fallen world, we're losing trust, cooperation, and innovation in our movement. But the truth is that God thinks you matter. God has hopes and dreams that He planted inside of you, and that you are the key. Your contributions is what's going to create the change that we need. But not a contribution that you don't care about. A contribution that God planted inside of you, your hopes and your dreams, your talents, your skills, your ambitions. We need to develop ourselves. It is the dreams that God put inside of you that matters. So, I went to Africa recently, and I've been working with my brother, and we created a wonderful project. So the problem with Africa and the youth, in Africa, it was a good experiment that we started to see if people can actually live their passion. Change the motivation between us, and not thinking we have to sacrifice, but to actually look inside of us and see, how do we do the things that we love? How do we empower ourselves to do what God planted inside of us to make a change? You know, I went to Korea many times, and there was a Mr. Kim who was in charge of education. He taught all the African leaders for 40 days. And I was there as liaison between the African members and the Korean leaders. And he taught this to me personally. He told me, the future of our movement depends on us being able to live our dreams. Teach the young people, he said, how to follow their passions and live their dreams. And that's what God will use to transform the movement. And so since then, I've been kind of passionate about it. And I wanted to do that in Africa. So the problem that I saw in Africa was that our young second generations are sitting there in the corner in the dark, in a house that has no electricity, no paint on the walls, wasting their full potential, some of them skipping meals because they can't afford it. It was horrible. And Diana and I went there, and we tried to get them going, asking them questions. What are you passionate about? What are you going through? We found out that in Africa, they're having a huge educational crisis. In the universities, people are going to university, which is great. They're getting an education. But the education is years and years old. Our movement, our world is digital. We're moving to the digital world. So the focus now is on marketing, sales, digital marketing. And everything with computer programming and things like that. And Africa is becoming a focus for tech companies. There's tech startups everywhere there because they're taking the young talents, educating them, and using them for their company's benefits. Google's moving there, Twitter's moving there, Facebook is moving there. They're creating huge centers of commerce over there. And the rest of them, 70% of university graduates graduate and can't go to work because there's no jobs. So they just go on the streets and they have to find a way to do something to support themselves. And our young people are struggling with that as well, our members. So, with the foundation that my brother started, Stephan Winter, he's my younger brother, With the foundation, he started the Kevin Winter Foundation. With private funds and donations that we get from members and outside people, we're able to create a foundation that focuses on educating future leaders for Africa in Africa. And we do that through Project Rise. Project Rise is an online school where we teach through Zoom and through other ways to develop the youth of Africa to become future leaders, to become entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are people who take ownership for things that they didn't cause. When the rest of the world is looking at problems and running away from them, entrepreneurs see a problem and want to solve it. And they do it in a sustainable way. And that's basically what tribal messiahs do, right? We go to a problem and we try to solve the problem. So we created this project. It's been going on for a year now. We've had a whole group of students come through, and we're hoping, and this is what we're hoping to accomplish. We want to empower them to become relevant and skilled to solve problems. We want them to develop the movement by creating their own small businesses, to solve social challenges, and to raise money to support our movement. We have a lovely team of young people here. Some of them are video editors, some are social media managers. So news of what we did started to spread. And before we knew it, actually a lot of the second generation are very excited, and they want to leave their organizations that they're in right now, YSP, UPF, whatever. They want to leave it and join our organization because they feel so passionate. And there's a difference in why they think ours is interesting. And our goal is not to do that. Our goal is to empower them so they can go back to their organization and make it better. You know what I mean? But they still want to be a part of what we're doing. And so I was wondering, why is that? And so I sat down in several meetings with one of our nonprofit organizations, sat down with us and said, we want you to educate all our people. And I said, okay, tell me your plan and your vision so I can help your members be empowered to do that. And they gave me their whole vision for their future, and I noticed something that alarmed me. They were only focused on how the individual can benefit their movement, and not how does it benefit the individual. And so I spoke to my brother. My brother is my Abel, and I'm the Cain, apparently. He's really focused on the whole purpose, and I'm really focused on making sure the whole purpose guarantees the individual's interest. And so we're a good partner together. We fight a lot because I say a lot of crazy things like, this is wrong and this is bad. And he says, no, but we have to work together. So it's quite interesting. And I told him this, our organization cannot work and help these people because they're having the wrong motivation. And he said, doesn't matter, we got to work together and solve this problem. And that's when I realized how this message has to be said, that we have to solve this problem, and we also have to make sure, we have to work together, but we also have to make sure the individual is doing it because he feels that's what his calling is. You know what I mean? So I have a perfect example of what happens if that doesn't work. If the individual interest is not guaranteed and the whole purpose is not also guaranteed, this is what happens. Have you heard of Netflix? Have you heard of Blockbuster? Blockbuster is an American-based, on the top here, Blockbuster. It's an American-based company. It focuses on home movies, entertainment, and video games service. And when I was younger, in the early 2000s, Blockbuster was a place where we drove 10 minutes from our house with a car, because America, we have cars, we don't have railroad systems like you guys have so much. And we go to this store, and in this store, we can rent a DVD. Remember those? And we go home and we have a wonderful time together. Problem is, we never return the DVDs on time, and we have to pay late fees. And that was Blockbuster. And they did such a great job of their business. They were so amazing. In 7 years of opening up their business, they've had over 2,800 stores. That's 400 stores a year they opened. It was amazing. They were the leaders and the giant in their industry. Then came Netflix. Netflix, in the early 2000s, was a store, not a big store. It was a little machine that when you left the grocery store and you walked out, there was a little machine that you could put €1 in or $1 and rent out a DVD. That was them. It was nothing. But the leader of Netflix had a big vision, a long-term vision, a infinite player vision, not trying to win against other people, but to work together and last forever. And Blockbuster had the opposite approach. So the Netflix owner, I should explain who Netflix is. You all know what Netflix is, right? At the time, Netflix was a store where you can order online and they send you DVDs. It started with a kiosk, but it became you ordered online, and then it moved up to being everything online only. But Blockbuster was the giant, and they wanted to win. And Netflix wanted to work together. So the Netflix owner said, let me visit the Blockbuster owner and see if we can come together and merge our companies together for a common interest. So he scheduled an appointment with him, and he really wanted to impress Blockbuster. So he took all his savings and he rented a private jet and a big limousine, and he went to see this Blockbuster owner. And the Blockbuster owner welcomed him, looked at him, and he heard what he had to say. Yes, Mr. Blockbuster, I think we should work together. We can empower each other. I have a great vision for the future. You're doing great. We can come together. All I need is 50 million from you, and we can work together. You don't have to do anything else. I'll take responsibility of what I'm good at. You take responsibility of what you're good at, but we work together. And Blockbuster laughed at them and said, get out of here. And he left, and he was very heartbroken because he invested so much to do this. Blockbuster not only chased them away, he heard the sales pitch, and he took the idea, and he copied it. And Blockbuster grew really quickly because of that. They made billions of dollars because of it. So Netflix said, you know what? It's okay. I'm not competing against him. I have a long-term vision. So he kept working, and he collaborated with Sony and other organizations, and eventually he grew so big that Blockbuster started struggling. Blockbuster, the CEO of Blockbuster, was developing so much and working so hard, he wanted more money. So he asked the leader of Blockbuster, can you give me, because he was the CEO, can you give me more money so I can do what I'm doing? And the guy said no. So he ended up leaving the company. And that created too many responsibilities on one leader afterwards, and he couldn't handle it. The big organization couldn't handle it because the leader had too much responsibility and not enough, because they only wanted to grow and not partner with other young people. And the organization became bankrupt, and now Blockbuster's 2,700 stores are all closed, except one for a nice experience to go in and remember nostalgia. So, the lessons that we can learn from that is that similarly today, we have young people, we have the individual player, which is all of you, who have a passion and a dream that God placed inside of you. And how many know that when God gives you a dream and a vision, you cannot escape it? Like Jonah, you tried to jump onto the water to escape it, or you tried to run away, and the whale will eat you alive. It will eat in your heart. It will eat in your mind. You have to accomplish the dream that God gave inside of you, or you feel like you are a failure, you feel full of regret that you didn't do it. And the big company like Blockbuster is our big movement. And we have to work together. We have to empower the individual, because the individual is going to collaborate and bring the whole purpose a reality. So, we teach our people in Africa, our young people, that the only true competitor is yourself. Not Satan, not the evil world, not communism, not anybody else but yourself. You have to work every day. Your goal is to make yourself better, your systems better than they were. They should be better this year than they were last year. Your leadership should be better this year than they were last year. Your culture should be better. Your level of relationships and trust should be better this year than they were last year. That's our goal that we teach them. You know, we've been given a job as tribal messiahs. And like I said earlier, tribal messiahs is kind of like an entrepreneur. A good successful entrepreneur is able to do these 4 things really well. They build companies that are focused on serving the other, their customers. The leaders only focus on serving the team, not on the others. When the team is empowered, the team makes the customers happy. And when the customers are happy, the company grows. And True Father and True Mother are a very good example, because they did that with us. So how is it relevant for us in our movement? Well, if our church is focused on serving our community, and our leaders are focused on developing our members are empowered and making our community happy, the community will work together with us, support us, and we will grow. So we teach our youth in Africa how they can use their skills and their talents to do that. We told them that the first thing you have to do when you have a gift inside of you and a passion is you have to find an object to serve. And for that, you have to ask people, ask the community, what are you struggling with? Go around and asking people. And after that, you can create a solution to their problem. And then after that, you can develop trusting relationships with them because you're there for them. How do we empower our members? Our team has to feel that our leaders are fighting on their side. Our team feels trusted and they can trust their team or their leaders. And our leaders offer a quick feedback. When my team I have a leader meeting every Monday with my team, and all I do is solve their problems. I'm not focused so much on the whole picture because that's already written and set, and I remind them every day through our website what we do. But I focus on the team, and I ask them, what are you struggling with? What are you fighting? What's your problems? How can I help you and empower you to solve that problem? When that happens, guess what? Our members perform at their best. They have creative ideas, they solve problems, they take risks, they work together. They feel safe to admit their mistakes and ask for help. When our community and our church grows, their problems are solved, they feel that we care about them, they're able to donate and to support us, and they tell other people about us. And we can do that on social media and on marketing. So to close, the takeaway points is that we are in an infinite game. It's a long-term thing. Our competition is ourselves. We have to work and develop ourselves, and we have to empower our teams to do their job well. We have an opportunity to make our future better. Not just so that God and true parents are happy with our performance, but because God is very interested in your happiness. Because winning is not the goal, but growing together as a family is the goal. Thank you very much.